What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Phillies Sports History for May 2nd, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Thursday edition of the podcast. Game 6 is tonight. Another do or die for the Sixers. We'll get into that in a minute, but first, let's start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day like we always do. I asked you, did Tyrese Tuesday night save Joel Embiid's legacy? 55% of you said no. There's a lot of debate and comment going back and forth on this. It was awesome to see. Lots of folks were saying, I hope so. And they're sick and tired of the playoff failures and this and that. I had a couple people say, well, what legacy? Your legacy right now is that you choke. So it's not a matter of if he saved it. You got to do something on your own to change it yourself, which I see. So thank you, as always, for participating in the question of the day. There'll be another question in a few minutes. But I personally think it reignited something, and I think we're going to see that tonight. Game 6 tonight, and lost in everything, and not making excuses. I'm not saying because you're out there playing, you need to be able to do things. Yeah, maybe you're going to have some things where you're not making shots or the shots are not falling. But the thing that really bothered me about Joe's game the other night was the 9 turnovers. Some of them were sloppy. Some of those passes cross court, and yes, if he makes them, it's great. But they were stolen, and that game wouldn't have been as close as it was had Joe not turned the ball over 9 times. I don't know the official stats or anything, but I feel as though at least 4 of them that are coming to mind as I'm thinking back led directly to fast break layup points for the Knicks. So Joe certainly has got to clean that up. However, lost in all of that. The man had a triple-double on one of his worst offensive nights, and in the past he would have pushed it and really just played worse, and you saw glimpses of that at times. But he trusted, pardon the pun, trusted the process of, okay, let me get my teammates involved. And you saw what happened with Tyrese and how he was able to do that. Joe had a triple-double with 10 assists, 16 rebounds to go along with his 19 points. So he figured it out that, hey, I don't have it offensively. I need to do other things. And he's running the court, making blocks. He's grabbing rebounds when they needed it. So I'm not necessarily in the camp. And again, I know a lot of times their job on the radio stations is to get callers and drive ratings and everything. But I'm not in the camp that Joe played terrible that game. Was it his best game? No. Was he sloppy with 9 turnovers? Absolutely. But I'm not in the camp that he was terrible, because I think where it's different, in the past he would have pushed it and then pouted and shut down. He didn't pout. He's not pouted or shut down this entire series. So he's finding ways to get the teammates involved and do those other things when his offense is not going. And I think tonight, in front of the home crowd, after the whole I'm pissed off about Knicks fans being there, I think you're going to see a different Joe tonight, and I think this reignited Tyrese Maxey's game the other night, reignited that spark in Joe. I think we're going to Game 7, and I cannot wait. I'm willing to go as far as say as this game is very similar to the other game the Sixers won, where it was close, and then the Sixers start pulling away. I'm not quite ready to say they win by double digits, but they certainly cover the 3.5-point spread tonight. So looking forward to that. The ownership group is buying 2,000 tickets and giving them out to first responders, nurses, healthcare workers. I wish they would include teachers in that, because it is Teacher Appreciation Month. But at least they're making an effort to try to get more Sixers fans in there and including the first responders and things like that. Because it is Nurses Appreciation Month too, but I wish they would include the educators in that as well. But that's okay. Hopefully we have a better officiated game tonight. One of the bigger stories that were missed because of Tyrese's heroics is Nick Nurse injured his finger because he slammed his hand down because he was frustrated by the officiating. Been there, done that. Nick Nurse, he's one of us. But hopefully it's a little bit more consistent. And I don't necessarily think it's they're making calls here, not making. Be consistent with your calls. That's all I'm asking for. And the perfect example of this, and I don't know why the league even does this, because all it does is just spark controversy and piss people off. But apparently the 2-minute report came out, and why don't they just do the whole report for the entire game, to be honest? If you're going to do the last 2 minutes of the game, why not do the entire game? But anyway, the last 2-minute report for the referees came out, and they missed the travel. Apparently on the 4-point play, Tyrese traveled, which I kind of thought he did too, but it is what it is. And they're saying, oh, well, we missed that call. And Knicks fans, obviously, the classy individuals that those people are like, oh, yeah, see? Well, guess what? It evens out for game 2 when the refs cost us. So we'll take it. We'll do it. But moving on, game 6 tonight, I'm telling you, Sixers win. I think they win easy. We're going to game 7 Saturday night, and I cannot wait. Your team, your town, your 76ers are forcing game 7, and this is a legacy builder for Joe, a career builder for Tyrese. And I hate to say it, but I really think a guy like Tobias Harris tonight is going to be key. So make sure you take a nap at some point today. I did not go to the gym early this morning because I'm trying to, I don't know, an extra hour of sleep or hour and a half of sleep is going to be key for tonight's game. Hopefully the Sixers just blow them out and it doesn't matter anyway. But game 6 is tonight down at the Wells Fargo Center, 9 p.m. Be there or be square. Be sure to check out my boys over the Clashing Conferences podcast as well, doing good things. I think they recorded during that Knicks game the other night, so I'm anxious to see what Topher Pete's reaction is. But check them out wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. Phillies news. A 4.3 on the Richter scale earthquake could not stop the Phillies yesterday as they beat the Angels 2-1 to take that series and win yet another one. Alec Boehm extended his career-high hitting streak to 15 games. Again, it was not the best game for this team. I mean, they had 18 strikeouts and made Sandoval look like Cy Young out there. But that's what you're going to get with this team. It's feast or famine. But the fact that the pitching staff was able to keep them in there and they're getting the timely hits and taking advantage of their opportunities, which if you notice during this nice little streak they're on, they're hitting well with runners in scoring position. They're not leaving runners on base at a high clip as they normally do. They had the bases loaded. Schwarber scooted one past the shortstop for the 2 runs that the Phillies needed. Again, they won the series. Giants this weekend for a 4-game set. They're a half game back of the Braves. They have 21 wins. They actually have more wins than the Braves, but the Braves have played 3 less games than the Phillies, so that's why technically the Braves are ahead on winning percentage points. But they look to continue that tonight at the park, excuse me, against the Giants. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Monday. No, they're off today. Yeah, so Friday, they look to continue. That's what I thought. Like, I'm all screwed up because of testing, and 9 p.m. Sixers games got me all screwed up. Phillies are off today. They play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, a 4-game set against the Giants. So much-needed day off for them. We'll get there, guys. We'll get there. It is now 6:37 my time as I'm recording this, and 9 o'clock seems so far away. Sheesh. The other story I wanted to mention was the Mets did a dollar dog night at Citi Field. And if there is one fan base that wants to be the Phillies so bad, it is the Mets. They were throwing hot dogs, but you're not going to hear about that because it's New York and everybody likes New York. They're classy and they're good fans, even though they're on national TV saying F. Embiid every time he touches the ball up there. They're throwing hot dogs just like Philly fans because they want to be us. Okay, so let's not get that twisted. Mets fans want to be Phillies fans. But dollar dog night, and then they were throwing the hot dogs. So I'm anxious to see where the outrage comes for that. But hey, as I've been saying since this series started, stay classy, New York. You do you. All right, Philly GOAT. Still not too late to get your Tyrese Maxey shirts. They have the Maximus, the Iron Maxey, the Mad Maxey. They have some Joe shirts as well. It's time to get Sixered up and get ready for Game 7, which is this weekend. And who knows? I feel like if they win tonight, there's no chance they're going up to Madison Square Garden and losing again. Because I think the end of that game, Tyrese Maxey took their soul. Like if you look at Jon Stewart's face and Tracy Morgan's face and Ben Stiller's face, they were shook. Patrick Ewing's face, they were shook. And I think you're going to have some doubt and things like that starting to creep in. I'm telling you, they win tonight, no chance they lose Game 7. So now's the time to get your Tyrese Maxey shirts from Philly Goat. Be sure to use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com, promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off, all one word. Get some Philly Connect gear too, because the Phillies will be wearing those jerseys on Friday night. All right. Some Eagles news. Boston Scott signed with the Rams. The Giant Killer is officially no longer, he had a nice little post, but he's no longer with the Eagles. Giants fans everywhere are rejoicing, and they also are the same scumbags who are likely saying F Embiid and throwing hot dogs at Citi Field. But I digress. Stay classy, New York. Rookie minicamp is tomorrow and Saturday. I want to see what these guys have, and this is like, to me, this is sort of the unofficial start to football season, because the rookies get to go in there, meet with the coaches, get some reps and everything. So none of this is open to the media, but that's okay, because that means football season is likely around the corner. Okay, staying with a baseball theme today, we're going to go back to 1908. And on this day in 1908, the U.S. Copyright Office issued a copyright for the song, for the lyrics, "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." The music was written later by Albert von Tilzer, but the words were written by a Philadelphia native, Jack Norworth. Norworth was a successful Tin Pan Alley writer, and basically I had to look that up because I'd never heard of that, but they were songwriters who were in New York City in the late 19th century, early 20th century, and a lot of those, like, I'm picturing like the songs and words, or the music and things you hear like in the silent movies, and like the before the 20s music kind of started. So that's what I'm picturing. And if you think about Take Me Out to the Ball Game in its original form, that's what you're getting. But Norworth was inspired while riding a New York City subway train and saw a sign advertising a baseball game at the Polo Grounds, and just got inspired and started writing the words right there on the subway train. Take Me Out to the Ball Game is probably his longest lasting and most memorable song, but he did have a ton of other hits throughout his career. Ironically enough, he wrote this in the early 1900s, never saw a Major League Baseball game until 1940. So he did this all just based on the picture and was able to sort of get the inspiration that way. I think that's pretty cool. The first known singing of Take Me Out to the Ball Game at a ballpark occurred in 1934 at a high school game in Los Angeles, and then it was sung game 4 of the 1934 World Series, and the rest, as they say, is history. All right, be sure to hit me up on social media, Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok, at Philly Jimbo on Instagram. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Tell your friends, at Jimbo_Mont. Let's grow this thing. We're so close to 100. And then once you get to 100, it opens up more avenues. I have some great things in store. If you're interested in more information on the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame, all that information is in the description. Tickets, inductee names. And if you are interested in being a sponsor, or you have something you want to donate for the silent auction, hit me up about that as well. Doesn't necessarily have to be sports related. I forgot to give you the question of the day because I was so hyped up about Game 6. But today's question of the day is, will there be a Game 7? Very, very simple. 267-495-8531. Get you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. I am 100% in the yes camp. Let me know what your thoughts are on this or anything. Take Me Out to the Ball Game, Boston Scott, Mets fans throwing hot dogs, Whatever you got to do, 267-495-8531 gets you in. All right. Finally today, It's a Family Affair. I'm not going to sing it. Not going to do what everybody thinks I'm going to do and sing. But today's This a Family Affair is a father-son duo who played for the Phillies. Ruben Amaro Sr. and Ruben Amaro Jr. Ruben Amaro Sr. played 6 years in Philly from 1960 to 1965. He was only a .241 career hitter, but he was much more well known for his glove. In fact, he won a Gold Glove on that 1964 Phillies team that had the epic collapse. And what's ironic is he was not the full-time starter. He platooned with Bobby Wine at shortstop and still won a Gold Glove. Pretty impressive to do. He is in the Mexican Pro Baseball Hall of Fame. After he retired, he became a scout and coach for the Phillies, helped grow the Phillies' presence in Latin America, helped lead them to sign Julio Franco, who they ended up trading, and my all-time favorite and Phillies Wall of Famer, Juan Samuel. Sheesh. But Ruben Amaro Sr. helped find those guys. And then he was the first base coach on the 1980 team under Dallas Green. He also had a hand in the 2008 team. He was a special assignment scout for them. And he was also, probably most importantly, played by his son, Ruben Amaro Jr. on a couple episodes of The Goldbergs. If you watch The Goldbergs, it was a fun show. The guy, Adam, went to school with Ruben Amaro Jr., so Ruben Amaro came on and played his dad on the show. Pretty funny stuff. Speaking of Junior, he played 5 years with the Phillies in 92, 93, and then again in 96, 98 until he retired. His best years were with the Phillies where he hit .239. He really only had one full season as a starter, and that was 1992. But he was a bench guy on the 93 team that went to the World Series and won the National League. He was a bat boy on the 1980 championship team, and again on he was bat boy from 1980 to 1983. So he was a member of the World Series team as well as World Series champion team and the National League champion team in 1983. He is a Penn Charter graduate, prominently also featured on the Goldbergs, and they call him by his full name, Ruben Amaro Jr., which is kind of funny. But as soon as he retired, he started to work in the Phillies front office. He was an assistant general manager from 98 to 2008. Learned under Pat Gillick, and I guess he was with Ed Wade and then learned under Pat Gillick, and then took over as the general manager when Pat Gillick retired after the '08 World Series. And one thing I will say about Ruben, he spent money, and he knew that he had a window, and he went out, made trades, depleted the farm system, but I mean, he went all in. And I think he gets a bad rep because of the Howard contract and because they did not win another World Series. However, at the time, not one person complained about Cliff Lee, Roy Halladay, Roy Oswald, Hunter Pence. Nobody complained about those guys, Raul Ibanez. And I will give Ruben his due. I mean, he didn't really do much to replenish the farm system, but he had a window, and he went all in to try to get it, and they got screwed against the Yankees. The bats went cold, and the Giants got hot that next year, and the bats just went completely ice cold that next year against the Cardinals. But give him credit for spending the money and going out with the window being wide open and going after it. He was a 2009 Executive of the Year. He's in the Philadelphia Jewish Sports Hall of Fame and now does pre- and post-game for NBC Sports Philadelphia, as well as some color commentary for the Phillies on TV. Again, say what you want about the guy. Some of those contracts were not good, but he went out and said, listen, we have a chance to win. The players just did not follow through on the field. I mean, they needed pitching, he went out and got pitchers. They needed a bat, he went out and got a bat. So you can't blame Ruben for going for another World Series, and they should have won one. I mean, we talked last month about the unfinished business. The fact that they did not win another one between '09 and 2011 is ridiculous. So say what you want about Ruben. I say he went for it, wasn't afraid to do it. And then ultimately, there was another Amaro brother, Luis Amaro, who played in the Phillies minor league system and now works as a scout. They are one of 3 father-son duos to play for the Phillies. Mark Leiter Sr. and Jr. are one. And then this one's kind of like an asterisk we'll put, and that's John and Terry Francona. Even though Terry Francona never played for the Phillies, his dad had 60 games with the Phillies. And we all know Terry was the symbol, to me, the symbolic of the whole post 93 era to the golden era in '07. But today's It's a Family Affair is Ruben Amaro Sr. and Jr., one of 3 father-son duos to coach/play for the Phillies. Ruben Amaro, probably better known for going all in on trying to win the Phillies or bring the Phillies another World Series. But let me know your thoughts as well on Ruben Amaro, because I think he has a complicated legacy. I think as we're looking back and we're so far removed and we're in another golden era, so to speak, of the Phillies, I kind of appreciate more what he did, because, I mean, they had an opportunity and a window, and if they won one more World Series, I think it was all worth it. And I think we regard Ruben Amaro much better than what we do. But because they came up short, not necessarily because of him, but then the farm system was depleted, I think that's where some of the negativity with Ruben comes in. But let me know what you think. Ruben Amaro Jr., yay or nay, in honor of today's This Is a Family Affair. Ruben Amaro Sr., Ruben Amaro Jr., both played for the Phillies. On this day in 1908, the U.S. Copyright Office issued a copyright for the lyrics for Take Me Out to the Ball Game, written by Jack Norworth, a Philadelphia native. Let me know your thoughts on the Sixers, though. That's the question of the day. Are we going to Game 7? I say yes. 267-495-8531. Get you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Let's do it. It's going to be a late night. We're going to be dragging tomorrow. But when we got Game 7 lined up on Saturday, it's going to be well worth it. It's going to be a hot one today, so go out and enjoy your Thursday. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. And until next time, 10, 9, 8, 76ers. Here they come.